This is the third lecture for 2.2, where we focus on using technology to do some of the calculations having to do with normal distributions. In the class notes, we have instructions on how to use the TI Nspire to do these calculations. This is where you get a little angry with me. It's okay. I'm okay with the fact that we did it the long way to start off with using the table. And now we're going to see how we can do a bunch of these calculations a little bit easier. It says what proportion of Tiger's drives on the range are at least 290 yards. Remember that the distribution of yards of his shots were normally distributed with a mean of 304 a um, and a standard deviation of 8. Well, if I switch over to the TI Nspire, the way we're going to work this is that, unlike the notes, I want you to actually start a new document. So we'll go to start at the home screen and we'll say new. If it says you do want to save your prior work, don't save it. But we are going to go ahead and add a calculator page to our document. All right, so now we have a calculator page. Where are we going to find the commands to do these calculations? Well, if we go under menu, we're going to look under a submenu called probability. And under probability, there's another submenu called distributions. So 5, 5, and gets us to a third submenu. And where we're going to do most of our work is in this command called normal CDF. So let's choose normal CDF. And it brings up this dialog box. Now the question was, what proportion of the drives were at least 290 yards? Well, you can see already pre-populated is negative infinity for our lower bound. Well, we don't want that to be our lower bound. We want our lower bound to be 290. Then we hit the tab key to go down to that next line. There's the tab key. And then what do we want our upper bound be? Well, we want our upper bound to be infinity. We want to go, although we know he doesn't hit at infinity yards. Whenever we don't have a described upper end, we'll use infinity. Where do we find the infinity symbol? It's under the pi button down here, and you can see that infinity is one of 9 different symbols. If we just hit repeatedly the pi button, eventually we get to infinity, and then we hit enter, and now infinity is our upper bound. Hit tab to go to the next line again, and here's where we put the mean of the normally distributed shots made. Remember his mean was 304. Hit tab. Remember that his standard deviation was 8. Hit tab and then hit enter. And there we have our solution. It was about 95.99%. Now, what's interesting here is that the College Board wants very much you to be able to do this calculation, but it doesn't want you to just say memorize the syntax of the calculator. So what the College Board would like you to do is that when you get ready to answer your question using this technology doing all the work, they want 2 things. One, as always, they would like you to draw out that normal distribution. Remember 304, 312, etc. And draw in minus this is 296. So it ends up being about here and shade that in. That's one thing they want you to do. They also would like you to say, well, I typed in the calculator, it said norm CDF 290 infinity 304 8, and that was equal to the answer 0.9599. Now, they want you to document what each of those numbers represent. This represented the lower bound. This represented the upper bound. This represented the mean. And this represented the standard deviation. So they would like you to document the things that you did. All right, let's do this next one. What proportion of the drives travel between 305 and 325? Let's switch back over to the calculator. Again, menu, probability, which is under is option 5, distribution, which is option 5, and again, option 2, normal CDF. In our dialog box, what was our lower bound? The lower bound was 305 yards. The upper bound was 325 yards. Hit tab to go to the next one. Remember 304 and 8. We hit enter and enter again. And there's that answer. Again, it would like you to, the College Board would like you to draw the picture out of the normal distribution, shade it in appropriately, and then document each of the parameters, each of those 4 different numbers that went into the calculation. The next example is working backwards. This is where we know a percentage, a proportion, or an area, and we're working backward to find out the X value that is appropriate. This is the one having to do with the cholesterol blood levels. All right. So for this one, we still go menu, option 5 for probability, and option 5 again for distributions. But this time we use option 3, the inverse normal. And it says, well, what area do you want? By the way, these areas are always left-handed areas, the ones that go from the left and up to some point. And we wanted 0.25. And what was the mean of that distribution? Well, it was 170. What was the standard deviation in that distribution? It was 30. So if we go ahead and say OK to that, and there's our answer. Now that answer is slightly different than the one we got by hand, but that's only because we ended up rounding that Z value to 2 digits because of the nature of the table, and there's nothing much that we could do about that. Again, when we go to write down our answers on the sheet, they still want you to draw out, document. It's 30, so this is 200 and 230 and 140. And we wanted about 25%, about here. And then when you put in inverse normal, 0.25, 170, 30 is equal to what? 140.99, I think. Remember, we'll say that that's the area, that is the mean, and that is the standard deviation. All right, so there's 3 quick things that we can do on the calculator, a lot easier than using the table. One of the other things that happens is that we have all these great tools for dealing with normal distributions. The problem is not every distribution is actually normal. So one of the other things I'd like you to be able to do on the calculator is they would like you to be able to determine whether a data set appears to be normal or not. All right? And so how do we do that? Well, we do that by plotting the data. We could do that by seeing whether the data follows roughly the 68, 95, 99, 7 rule. And this third thing that we could do is by doing a special kind of plot called a normal probability plot. Now, a normal probability plot, which is, by the way, also sometimes called a quantile plot, okay, has this feature. If we tell the calculator to do a normal probability plot, and we see that the points line up close to a straight line, that the general trend is a straight line, then that indicates that the data are normally distributed. If there are systematic deviations away from the straight line, that indicates non-normal distribution. Systematic, meaning that there's a general trend of not being in a line. All right? So what we're going to do is we're going to run through all of these using the calculator along the way. So here we go. Let's say we have this data for unemployment rates for November of 2009. They range from the lowest to the highest. Michigan was the highest that year because in 2008 there was the Great Recession and the auto industry went into the dumper. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at how to get this data into our calculator and do the plots. So I am going to switch over to the calculator again. Um, I am going to go to the home screen and I'm going to start a brand new document. So everything is nice and new. All right. And what I want to do is I want to put the data into the calculator, which means I start by adding a list or spreadsheet page. When I get that list and spreadsheet page, I get a page. And if I go up, I can name the list I'm about to do. And that is unemployment. That's going to be the name of my list. And then I'll arrow down and then I can start entering the list. 4.1, enter, uh, 4.5, enter. You get the idea. I'm going to say that watching me enter data is like watching paint dry. So if you don't mind, I recently put all that data into a document, um, and I have all the data in there all typed in. So you don't have to watch me type it all in. So let's go ahead, pretend that we have all the data typed in, and let's go ahead and say, let's add a page. But this time, the page I want to be is called a data and statistics page. Now, if we say data and statistics, we get this. If we use the mouse pad to bring the arrow down to the bottom, it says click to add a variable. And I'm going to say we're going to add the unemployment variable. And we see a lovely dot plot. Now, what do we want to do with that dot plot? We want to examine it for normality. Well, what does normal look like? Well, normality is single peaked, approximately symmetric, bell-shaped. Do you see that in that graph? I think I do. Okay, let's take another view of this. Instead of looking at a dot plot, if we hit menu and then hit one for plot type, we can change that plot to a histogram. Okay, now you say, oh no, that's terrible because that histogram shows that this thing's a little bit bigger and it's not biggest in the middle. Answer is, let's not worry about the little things. Let's look at the general trend. Is the general trend that this data is single peaked and bell-shaped? The answer is, yeah, it generally is. Let's look at this data one more time. This time we'll look at plot type, but this time we'll look at the box plot. What are we looking for in the box plot? Well, because the data should be symmetric, the whiskers should be about the same length, and they roughly are, and the two sides of the box should be about the same width, and they approximately are. So what we have here is in general, we've got something that looks approximately normal. Is it perfectly normal? No, but approximately normal is good enough. The last thing that we can do, or the other thing that we can do as we look at this data, is to look at how much of the data falls within one, two, or three standard deviations. So if we found that the average percentage of unemployment was about 8.7 and the standard deviation was about 2.2, and if we said from the mean going out one standard deviation above and one standard deviation below, and count up the number of data items, we find that 36 out of the 50 were within one standard deviation of the mean, about 72%. Is that about 65? Yeah, it's reasonably close. Okay, if you go two standard deviations, you get 96. Is that about 95? Yeah, that's really, really close. And three standard deviations need to be about 99.7. We got 100%. Yeah, that's an indication that this distribution is approximately normal. Okay, last thing that we do with this data is that we can look at this plot called, again, the normal probability plot, again, also called the quantile plot. Now, in the quantile plot, we still have our data. We're still in graphing mode. We're going to go to menu. We're going to go plot type. And then we're going to choose option 4, the normal probability plot. And what do we see? The points are mostly on the line. The general trend is that they are mostly on the line. And when we see that general trend, we say, okay, that looks pretty good. We think the data are approximately normal. All right. So those are the kinds of tools that we use to assess normality. Um, in the lecture notes, um, they have an example to work on where we have 72 guinea pig, how long they lasted after being infected by a bacteria. We got all this data, and we want to know whether this data is approximately normal. So let's take a look at that. I have that in page 1.1. So if I go control right or left, control left, there's my guinea pigs. There's all my, there's all those numbers. Let me go ahead and add a page. Have it be a data and statistics page. Let's go down here and say this time I want to look at the guinea pig data. And we say, okay, does that data look approximately symmetric? Like, no, that looking at that is a dot plot. It looks skew right. That's an indication of non-normality. Let's take a look at this as a histogram. Yep, the histogram still indicates that this looks skew right. Let's look at this again, and let's look at it in terms of a box plot. And we can see every single one of those dots is an indication of an outlier. That is an indication of skewness. This whisker is a lot bigger than that whisker. This width is a lot bigger than that width. All right. So all of these are indications that the data are not normally distributed. Let's take a look at the um, normal probability plot. That's option number 4. And do you see how the general trend is not linear, but in this sort of arc? Okay, so the general trend is not linear. Another indication that the data are not normally distributed. And that ends our review on how to use the calculator to do normal calculations and to assess normality.